Yeah. We were just talking about McFarlane, like, it's the anniversary of launching of Image, like him leaving Marvel. Because to me, we were just talking about that, like, that changed comic books, but like before Hollywood is involved, I guess. So it's like now it's like a new wave of like how it's changing. Like I want like the properties are going to option and the prices of comics are all fluctuating. Recession proof, I guess. The comic book prices are holding tough.
God, they're like their own stock market on their own.
Yeah, but I think people with some disposable income probably are obviously got to cut a couple bucks.
Yeah, it's a fun thing to have. Yeah.
No, yeah, we're both like into comics and like looking at it. It's like I've always been a huge fan of Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
So like that was what I was most stoked on, and they held that to the last minute because I think there are a whole bunch of Swamp Thing fans.
There's a lot more monster fans than I expected.
Yeah.
Like growing up, that wasn't my thing, so I was like, oh, these are kind of like off-brand Man-Thing and Swamp Thing and, DC, Marvel, all the different monsters. But I'm like, wow, these are really popular characters. Yeah. I had no idea.
I can't remember what it was, but I think there was a kind of a show or something when we were kids, like a live-action Swamp Thing show.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was a little kid, so it was like, oh, this is fucking sick. And I had the comic books. And he's just like cool. Again, he was, I think, just so different. Like maybe having him on, because you have your Supermans, your Batmans, they got fucking capes. And Swamp Thing is like, it just gross.
You can't make him handsome.
Exactly, but he's still like, there was like love interest where he's in love with this chick, and it was like kind of cool. I remember even as a kid thinking that, like, oh, he's a gross monster that still needs love. And like, yeah, so it's like, I hope they do. And again, having James Gunn do it, it's going to be fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was what I was most excited. And then the Batman's son, like seeing what they did. Those are the two things where I'm like, yeah, dude.
And he's going to let all his directors cook. That's the thing. He's not going to be like, oh, this is how the story has to be, and it has to be corny and funny and family like Guardians, which is great, but he's not going to do that. And I think that's what people are afraid of, is like, we're just going to get sick of Gunn. He's not directing all these movies. He's not writing all these movies. He's just overseeing it and making sure that they're not fucking up. And his best thing that I thought in that entire clip was him saying that the storytelling is the most important part of these movies. Yeah. And that's why he's so good. We don't need The Rock in Black Adam for 2 hours where 15 minutes of dialogue and an hour and 45 minutes of fighting occurs. I don't know what happened. It was a movie. I couldn't tell you what the plot was.
There's a lot of fighting.
Yeah. I mean, it was minimal plot.
How long do you think? Because I agree. Like I think certain visual moves that are too long and there's no storyline, like your brain kind of checks out. Where it's just like I don't. What do you think? Like an hour? Because to me, like a 90-minute movie is fucking perfect.
I'm fine with a 2-hour comic book movie. Totally fine, even if it's longer. Like as long as the story is good. Yeah. It's
they don't make 90-minute comic books.
No, everything.
They build where it's like an hour, at least an hour of fighting. And like an hour of story build. You know what I mean? Or it's like
I just don't need a 30-minute CGI fight at the end of every movie. And I think they're realizing that. And so that's been one of the most difficult things to fix. Sure. But like Black Adam wasn't going forward in movie making. It went backwards.
Well, it's funny. I think Superman, the original, or not the original, but the one with Cavill, like had really long fight sequences that were like, they were super dope. But there was a lot of, like you're saying, like looking back on it, I rewatched them like, okay, yeah. Like, you didn't need them flying through the city for 30 minutes. Could have cut maybe some. I mean, it's dope. And they probably spent a bajillion dollars doing it. But, like, my favorite parts were, like, Russell Crowe and Zod. And, like, the story building. And, like, Cavill as a kid. And, like, kind of, like, having these powers. And he could fuck up these kids. And he doesn't.
Yeah.
And even the corny scene with Kevin Costner.
Yeah, I mean.
You know what I mean? Don't save him.
Good dialogue and storytelling will always trump just meaningless action.
I think so.
It's good to have a combination of the two, but it's finding that balance.
Yeah.
And that's what James Gunn has done the best.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I'm like, kind of like, I would love to be one of the guys, like just a fly on the wall in a creative meeting. Like before, like as they're writing, you'd be like, we need like an hour of fighting. We need some like, you know what I mean? Like how they build the world, how they build the thing. It's just so interesting. And that 6-minute video Gunn did, I thought was just like perfect. Because you kind of like entered that world for a minute creatively. And be like, dude, video, because in my mind, it's like, that's such a, again, daunting task of like, video games, TV shows, movies, and we're going to all make this make sense and make it. It's like, I'm sure there's going to be misses because it's such a daunting task, but it's like, I'm fucking stoked for it, kid. It's going to be exciting.